Chapter 15. Gay bashing. Yo, stop it. I think in the daily life of a black male, we gay bash way more than we disrespect women. We would call a gay guy a fag to his face. But if we walked up to a woman and said, "Aight, bitch," we would know that was disrespectful. I remember 5 years ago, I was in this clothing store in Greenwich Village with my old girlfriend. I said the word fag kind of loud, and there were some gay dudes in the store. My girlfriend was like, "Yo, come on, step into the new millennium." Well, my level of consciousness has since been raised, and I actually think that standing up for gays was even more courageous than bad mouthing the president. In the black community, someone could label you gay and bring your career down. But that was me showing what black people are really about today, or at least what we need to be about. Kanye West. I was always in the arts at church or at school, and it was not uncommon to encounter people who some felt were homosexual. In some cases, it was a known fact, but nobody said anything. It seemed that all the homosexuals were in the closet back then, except to one another, probably. Many of the male musicians were thought to be gay, and looking back now, a lot of them probably were. I also had a gym teacher in school who some said was a lesbian. She just looked athletic to me. Anyway, everyone commented behind their backs, but never maliciously. I never heard one person being outwardly persecuted for being gay. Perhaps that was because no one was out. I could count at least 10 people right now, probably more, who were known to be gay when I was growing up. Some were teachers at my high school. Some of them were choir directors, musicians, or ministers of music at my church or at other churches we'd visit. It was no big deal. And then again, maybe it was, and I just didn't know it. Maybe it was a big deal to those who were gay. They were the ones who had to tolerate the gay jokes and smile when inside they may have been bleeding. I'm sure that it must have been difficult at times not being able to be who you really were. Many years later, I had a student tell me as much in an essay she had written on homosexuality. She was still in the closet and not happy about it, but she thought her family would disown her if she came out. She was glad to have a platform to speak. The experience had given her the courage to be who she was. To hell with anyone who didn't like it. But that was after I had grown up myself on the issue and opened my own closed mind. Because of the silence on the issue around my house growing up, I learned to like the gay friends of the family a lot and to fear the gays I did not know. Ignorance is not bliss, it's dangerous. So dangerous that I went off to college being afraid of any gay person who I'd not gotten to know in some other capacity before learning he or she was gay. How absurd. My freshman year at college, there was a girl on campus who was rumored to be a lesbian. I had seen her around campus but hadn't paid her much attention. I lived in a dormitory with about 20 on a floor, with a bathroom at the end of the hall that we all shared. I was hanging out one evening, heading back to my dorm room, and I really had to go to the bathroom. I ran down the hall and into the bathroom, and there she was, washing her face or something. I didn't stick around to find out. I shot out of there and didn't even use the bathroom. Looking back, I realized how silly I had been. Even if the rumor was true, what was she going to do to me? It's somehow assumed that all gays have on their minds is sex. Many never look at a gay person as an individual who has many dimensions other than sexuality. It's ludicrous, but that's how it is. In the black community, when I was coming up, being gay was something to be ashamed of. Labels helped to ensure that shame. Queer, punk, funny. That's how people were described. I don't remember anyone coming out and saying, "I'm gay, fuck off." And I don't blame them. People had to go through so much just to be who they were, and some still do. Growing up, I didn't understand the whole notion of homosexuality. When you came up in the church, you think it's some sort of disease that you can catch or cure with enough prayer. But as I began to broaden my horizons and really got to know people, I figured it out. Just as some people are heterosexual, some are homosexual. It's as simple as that. One of the things that helped me see this was having people in my life who I loved dearly, who happened to be gay. At first I was like a white racist who has that one black friend but is unable to see their black friend is not special or some sort of exception. One friend of our family is a brilliant artist and musician and so close to us that he's considered family. It didn't matter to us that he was gay. He was always welcome in our home. You made exceptions to the rule. The rule being, it's not good to be homosexual. But the reality was that there were so many good and wonderful human beings who were homosexual. And this family friend was one of them. He helped crush the myth for me. I could list other examples. I won't though, because the world is still cruel and I don't know how they'd feel about me discussing them in this book. Maybe they would say, it's not nice to out Mother Nature. I thank God that before Kanye was born, I realized how absurd it is to be homophobic, how narrow it is to judge people on the basis of their sexuality. I wouldn't want to pass that narrowness on to him. But the anti-gay paradigm was deeply rooted in the minds of most Americans. Kanye was not able to escape it. It is so prevalent in the black community and in most communities. Even as someone who always marched to the beat of his own drummer, he dissed gays big time. In hip hop, defending someone's right to be gay was definitely frowned upon. You wouldn't think of expressing an opinion that was pro gay. You'd better not even have such an opinion. It made much more sense to be anti gay, and Kanye was. He wasn't just pretending to be. Like so many others, black, white, male, female, rich, poor, he thought homosexuality was totally inappropriate, maybe even repulsive. I'm not sure, but I believe he held these values not just for himself, a straight male, but for anybody else. Homosexuality was something to be hated, not defended, something to be scorned, not understood. Besides genuinely feeling as he did, he was not going to put himself in a position to be further castigated. He wasn't hard. He came from a nice home, and people considered him a mama's boy. The wrong ingredients for becoming a successful rapper. I was never around when Kanye and his friends were gay bashing, but I can imagine the jokes, the attitudes, even the disdain they probably displayed. I don't know that any of them actually hated any gay person in particular. I think perhaps they just hated the whole idea. I believe a lot of young people are posturing when they gay bash. They are pretending to hate gays, but really don't. Besides, how do you prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you yourself aren't gay? By showing you, by showing that you hate gays. The last thing you want to be associated with as a rapper is anything gay. But Kanye came full circle the day he stepped up and called for his peers to stop gay bashing. He distinguished himself once again, not just as a talented rapper and incredible producer, but also as a courageous individual who thinks critically and is not afraid to speak his mind. Even if he is afraid, he does it anyway, which is which is what ultimately matters. Kanye made his comments in 2005. Looking back, he feels that was even crazier than bad-mouthing the president. I'm glad Kanye realized there is no value in gay bashing. Nothing good will result from it. Even those who have a problem with homosexuality because they consider it to be immoral shouldn't cast stones. Isn't that just immoral? People have lost their lives just because they were gay. They became strange fruit hanging from a tree. Until I heard Kanye speaking on it in interviews, I never knew he had disliked or ridiculed gays. My nephew, his first cousin, and one of his favorites at that, would come over frequently. The whole family is crazy about him, always has been. He's a dynamic person who leads a very productive and successful life. What's not to love about him? His sexual preference? Give me a fucking break. They're stupid, more stupid, and most stupid. And to not love my nephew because of his sexuality would be the latter. Kanye is none of those. In fact, he is the exact opposite. Ingenious. So I was surprised when it dawned on him that despite the heat he might take by speaking out against the gay bashing, If indeed he even thought about it, he'd speak his mind. Kanye's words were welcomed and applauded by many. Phone calls and mail came in to prove it. Heterosexuals, gay activists, closet gays all voiced their approval via internet or some other medium. I was proud that Kanye had spoken up, that he had taken a stand. He's made a name for himself in hip hop, won awards, and made millions of dollars. He could have just kept quiet and kept it moving. He could have played it safe, but he didn't. This is my cousin. I love him, and I've been discriminating against gays. It's not just hip hop, but America just discriminates against gay people. I want to just come on TV and just tell my rappers, just tell my friends, yo, stop it. Kanye West in August 2005. All eyes on Kanye West MTV special. I hope everybody will stop it, like comedian Wanda Sykes said about people protesting gay marriage. If you don't like it, don't marry a gay person. Kanye's cousin has been out of the closet for more than 15 years. He brings his partner home to Oklahoma City for Christmas and has for at least 10 years. We love his partner. He too is an outstanding human being. It's cool that no one raises an eyebrow when I introduce them as my nephews, especially since my nephew's partner is white. Even my mother, who is 90 plus years young, has a totally open mind about the relationship. We have people in our family who are gay, she once said. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Everybody doesn't have the opportunity to explore their true selves in a family that won't judge them. That's a shame. It's a very weak person who downs others for being themselves. But in another context, I understand this. Sometimes you judge others when you're least happy with yourself. You look outward to find some deficit in someone else. It's not even conscious. I've done the same thing, although all my life I have prided myself on not being judgmental. When Kanye spoke out against gay bashing, he didn't show up to create a stir or to be controversial. He just felt like it was time to say something that needed to be said. It's doubtful that he thought very long about the risk involved, if he thought about it that at all. He was too busy concentrating on what needed to be said. He thought more about the message than the messenger. He spoke eloquently and truthfully about something that was and still is critically important. When you have a platform and millions of people listening to you, not just hearing some words you utter because you happen to be on TV or in front of an interviewer for a widely circulated magazine, it's important to speak the truth as you see it. Crazy or not, it makes a lot of sense. Thank God we've seen a lot of breakthroughs over the past decade on the whole gay rights issue. In some places, it might almost become popular, a fad, to be gay. Ange Lee won an Oscar for Brokeback Mountain. Television shows like The L Word, 6 Feet Under, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and Will and Grace feature gay characters and affirm the gay lifestyle. Even soap operas like All My Children have had a storylines that in some way embrace gay life. Sometimes those ways are as out there as it gets. Well respected people like Ellen DeGeneres, Rosie O'Donnell, and many others have had the courage to step up and say, this is who I am. I admire and applaud them for being open and honest, but most of all, for loving themselves. If I could count the words Kanye has spoken that some people have found inappropriate, controversial, in poor taste, or just downright crazy, I would still be counting. But I'd bet you a year's salary that most of those words would be right on the money. Yo, stop it, are three of them.